What's going on, everyone? Welcome to my full review of DFS/Freedom Fireworks full selection for 2025. Out of the big three stands that you see in California, TNT, Phantom, and Freedom, Freedom is by far the best of the three, especially value-wise. If you aren't aware, Freedom is owned by TNT Fireworks, and most of their products are just exact rewraps of TNT's offerings, but for cheaper. In most cases, it's kind of like buying ibuprofen from CVS instead of Advil. It's the same stuff, you're just not paying for the brand name. Just to give you a quick example, Purple Rain by TNT and Short Stack by Freedom are the exact same fountain. Purple Rain is buy one get one free this year for $13, and Short Stack is buy one get one free this year for $7.96. There's countless other examples of this that we'll cover in today's video. We'll be breaking down Freedom's selection in sections, starting with assortments, then we'll cover novelties, their new items for 2025, buy one get one free items, fountains, and we'll end with finales. I'll be using the same colored circle ranking system I used in my TNT and Phantom reviews. Red circle is a firework or assortment you should completely stay away from. Yellow circle is a mediocre firework that isn't the worst, but isn't all that great either. Green is a good firework I would definitely recommend buying, and blue is an absolute must-have. So let's get into it, starting with Freedom's assortments. Here's Freedom's assortment selection. The prices are definitely better than what you'd find at TNT or Phantom, but I still wouldn't recommend buying a Freedom assortment. The fireworks in these assortments are very cheap, watered down filler items. They're nowhere near as exciting as the fireworks you'd get by picking and choosing individual ones from the stands. But if you're absolutely dead set on buying an assortment, Freedom is the best bet. And I think the overall best value out of their assortments is the Old Glory. For under $100, there's 15 fountains in this assortment, not counting the lightning flash or flashing fountains, which comes out to an average of $6.60 per fountain. In my opinion, that's not too bad. On something like a $200 budget, you could totally get the Old Glory assortment, a retro fountain as your finale, some sparklers and novelties, and a couple extra fountains, and you'd be looking at a pretty solid show. Do I think the $98.98 would be better spent elsewhere at the stand? Yes, definitely, but for the convenience and the amount of stuff you get, I'm giving Old Glory a yellow circle. I'm also giving the Liberty, Patriot, and Booming Salute assortments a yellow circle as well. Same principle applies. You can pair one of these assortments with a finale and some novelties and get a decent show. However, I am giving the rest of the assortments here a red circle. The value starts to diminish more and more as these go up in size and price. If your budget is anywhere above $250 or so, I would highly advise against buying an assortment. Because once again, the individual fountains you can buy are just miles better. There's no reason to drop $500 on an assortment full of filler crap when you can get $500 of the most unique and crazy fireworks on the market that will be 10 times more memorable and way more exciting. The issue you might be running into is that you don't really have a clue which individual fountains you should buy. But don't worry, just watch the rest of the video because I'll be ranking literally all of them. But before we cover the fountains, let's go over their selection of novelties, which includes fireworks such as sparklers, smoke bombs, ground blooms, crackle balls, and more. And Freedom has the best prices on these items in the whole state of California. Starting with their Morning Glory sparklers, these come in packs of 36 sparklers for $17.48, buy one get one free. They're $20 buy one get one free at TNT, so a little bit cheaper at Freedom, still a bit overpriced, but for some people, buying sparklers for the 4th is a non-negotiable, so I'll give them a green circle. If you're after some premium sparklers, Freedom has the Wizard Wands in packs of 5 for $13.49, quite a bit cheaper than at TNT, where they sell the Fairy Wands and Ninja Sticks, which are the same things, for $18.99. These are a green circle, super strong sparklers that burn very bright and very long. And for a sparkler that's kind of a handheld fountain, we have the Beast Slayer for $10.59. Clearly TNT has some sort of vendetta against Beast Law naming a firework this, and it also sucks. Red circle, it's basically the same strength of sparks as the Wizard Wands, but it's some unnecessary and expensive packaging. Moving on to the smoke items, smoke balls are buy one get one free for $5.48 at Freedom, which is 12 smoke balls total. Almost half the price of TNT, where they sell the same smoke balls for $10 buy one get one free. Much better deal. These are a green circle. They also have the Dragon Smoke for $3.24. This is an orange smoke bomb that lasts a little under 30 seconds. The orange is nice, but it's not very strong and doesn't last that long, so I'm giving these a yellow circle. And last but definitely not least for the smoke bombs is the ammo smokes, which are by far the best smoke bombs available in California. They're buy one get one free for $5.98. They come in all sorts of colors, and they have very strong smoke that lasts about a minute.
Pretty good for the price. I recommend them.
You're getting about 20 times more smoke out of these than you would out of a normal smoke ball, probably even more than that. Smoke bombs aren't everybody's favorite, but if you're looking for some quality ones this year, these are a must-have. Blue Circle. Moving on to some more novelties, we have Poppets at $2.98, buy one get one free. Obviously a must-have for the kids, but they're literally cheaper at Walmart, so I'm giving these a yellow circle. We have Piccolo Pete's. They come in packs of 6, and they're buy one get one free for $14.76. Green Circle, a bit rich on the price, but still much cheaper than elsewhere in California. I do wish they're around $4 to $5 a box instead of $7, but if you'd like to piss off your neighbors, you definitely gotta have these. Rounding out the novelties, these 3 are all buy one get one free. Crackling Balls for $4.68, Ground Blooms for $4.96, and Magic Whips for $5.96. All 3 are blue circles, some of my favorite novelties, and for a great price compared to TNT and Phantom. Cannot go wrong. If you want to have some fun before your real show starts, stock up on these. Now let's go over both of Freedom's new fountains for 2025. We have the Golden Crown for $29.22 and Master of Sparks, a 500 gram finale for $79.87. Golden Crown is a low noise fountain and a rewrap of the fountain by Iron Man Fireworks of the same name. It has some really pretty gold willow effects and some nice colors, including red, green, and purple. I've lit the Iron Man version in person. It's a decent fountain. Didn't really wow me, but it was pretty nice. Nearly $30 is pretty dang expensive though, about double what I paid for the Iron Man version, so I'm giving this a yellow circle. If you're looking for some low profile, quiet fountains, maybe to light after the 4th of July, it is a good one to pick up. Overall, Phantom has the best selection of silent fountains this year, with offerings such as Serenity, Flaring Stars, and Flower Pot. Golden Crown is pretty mid, but much more exciting and definitely not mid is the Master of Sparks fountain, Freedom's new finale for 2025. If you've heard of the Amazing Fountain before, which I don't know how you wouldn't have, or one of its countless rewraps, that fountain is often regarded as the best on the market. And this Master of Sparks fountain is the slightly toned down, California approved version. It's a fan fountain, one of my absolute favorite types of fireworks, with a huge, extremely loud crackle finale. I'm tempted to give it a blue circle, but $80 is a little steep, and I haven't yet tried it in person, so for now, I'm going to leave it at a green circle. If you have a pretty high budget this year, definitely pick this one up. Now, let's go over their long list of buy one get one free fountains, starting with Jitterbugs for $4.16. This one is just 15 seconds of chrysanthemums, very boring, very cheap at $2 a fountain though, so I'll give them a yellow circle. No reason really to buy these, but at the same time, they cost so little that it can't really hurt. And pretty much the same story with Mini Monsters for $4.96. These have some nostalgia working in their favor, and they do last a little bit longer than Jitterbugs, but they're also going to be a yellow circle. If you want some tiny, low noise fountains, they're a decent pickup. Next up is Killer Bees for $5.98. Classic little fountains with crackle and whistles, giving them a green circle. They are slightly cheaper at TNT this year, and when I say slightly, I mean slightly. You're saving like 20 cents at TNT. Similar to Killer Bees, but featuring more color instead of crackle, is the Cuckoo Fountain for $6.28. Another classic, another green circle, another good small fountain. We have Short Stack, a rewrap of Purple Rain for $7.96. Green circle with nice purple color and solid crackle for the size. Always a good one to pick up. Also a green circle is Crickets at $8.72. The best crackle fountain on a budget. The Cheeky Fountain for $10.36 is a yellow circle, breaking the trend of greens there. It's a rewrap of Game Mode, which is cheaper at TNT this year at $4.99. It's not a bad fountain, but Short Stack and Crickets are much better in my opinion. Old Glory for $22.10 is another yellow circle. It does feature whistles, which is nice, and $11 each isn't too bad, but otherwise, it's pretty unspectacular. Not the worst fountain to buy, but definitely not the best either. But even more unspectacular is Solar Glare for $23.64 and 123 Go for $24.88. These are crappy, filler assortment fountains, probably only 2 tubes in them. Red circles, absolutely no reason to buy these. That concludes the BOGO items this year, and now we'll cover the other individual fountains sold at Freedom. Starting with LMBO for $5.92, a rewrap of Little Red Devil. That little guy is not very great, and neither is this fountain. It's pretty cheap though, so I'm giving it a yellow circle. Not the worst if you're looking for some smaller fountains. Bizarre for $10.87 is one of the more underrated fireworks that Freedom sells. Probably one of the most unexpected green circles on the list. It's actually a nice little fountain. It goes for about a minute and ends with a whistle and pretty strong crackle. I've been sleeping on this one, and I'm sure most of you guys have been too. It's a good pickup. Mount Magma is $10.89 and another green circle. Very bright red nitrocellulose and solid crackle. One of the most popular fountains from Freedom last year, and for good reason. It's very solid. Not very solid though is the assorted shark fountains. They come in a pack of 3 for $11.44. Red circle, I don't think I would even buy these if they were half the price. They're just weak, little nothing burger fountains. Not good. A huge step up for about 50 cents more is Make the Grade for $11.87. Awesome flying fish effects and about a minute duration. It's a green circle, great value fountain. Another great value is Live, Laugh, Love for $11.99, featuring glitter effects, nice pink colors, and very solid crackle. Green circle. If you're looking for fountains in the $10 to $15 price range, as you can see, Freedom is the GOAT. Next, we have the Tropical Birds. These come in a pack of 4 for $14.88. Nothing special about these at all, and they're overpriced for what they are. Red circle. Put these in the same category as the shark fountains. And another swing and miss and another pack in the same category. The 7-inch assorted fountains for $14.89 are a red circle. The shark fountains, Tropical Birds, and these fountains are more or less the same. They suck and should be half the price. I don't recommend them at all. Moving on to a major improvement. Spirit of Freedom for $17.89 is our first blue circle must-have fountain. It's a rewrap of the Centennial Fountain, but for a few bucks cheaper. Great price, great effects, and a big finale with multiple tubes of gold sprays and big crackle firing at the end. It's a staple in Safe and Sane shows every year. Another good mid-size fountain here is Smile for $18.73. It's a green circle. Very nice blue colors and a flashing camera effect at the end. Very solid fountain. Livewire for $19.73 lasts more than 3 minutes and is another green circle. Super long duration, lots of whistles, which I love. The value here is off the charts. Less than half the price of Phantom's Professor Flame, which is pretty much the same fountain. If you're looking to add some length to your show on a budget, Livewire is one of my #1 recommendations. On the other hand, Sup is definitely not one of my #1 recommendations. This one is $20.88, and it's the exact same fountain as Live, Laugh, Love, which is $11.99. It makes absolutely no sense that Freedom sells the same fountain, just with different wraps, and that one costs double the price. Red circle, and a puzzling one. Kind of comical. Happy Trolls for $21.21 features flying fish and some of the best crackle I've ever seen in a fountain under $30. It really surprised me the first time I had this one. It's definitely a green circle. Very good fountain. The Super Value Pack is super forgettable. It's a 3-pack of assortment fountains for $25.60. Red circle, these are just boring. Jumbo Purple Rain for $25.79 is one of my all-time favorite fountains. Beautiful purple nitrocellulose and a pretty solid value. Green circle, not quite a blue, but for me, it's pretty close. We have Whimsy for $27.77, a rewrap of the now discontinued Power On fountain. For the young ones out there, this was Storm Runner before we had Storm Runner. It's got that almost slow-mo looking crackle at the end, and also a very long duration. Green circle, been one of TNT's better fountains for a long time. Bomb Pop is $27.86, and one of the more disappointing fountains for me that I've tried in person. I was really excited for it, and it just didn't quite match my expectations. It was still decent, I was just expecting a lot more. It's got some nice willow effects, but the crackle is pretty weak and it's a little expensive. Gonna be a yellow circle fountain. Another fountain that's a little too expensive and slightly lackluster is Taco Tuesday for $34.72. It has an interesting, but in my opinion, kinda lame colorful flare effect at the beginning. It is unique though, and it has some solid fan effects at the end. The ending is definitely the best part. If this one is $10 cheaper, I would probably recommend it, but $35 is just too much. It's going to be our second yellow circle in a row. The Freedom Star was new for last year and was one of Freedom's best sellers. Featuring flying fish, a strobing star, and an angled crackle finale, it was very hyped up. Honestly, I think it was a little overhyped. Mostly by me, I was guilty of that. Still really unique and a pretty nice one. Could be $5 to $10 cheaper, but it is going to get a green circle, just barely. Wicked Wizard is the same as Jumbo Purple Rain, but much more expensive at $35.95. Essentially the same situation as the Sup and Live, Laugh, Love fountains. It's just weird. Don't get duped. Get Jumbo Purple Rain instead. Wicked Wizard is a red circle. Retro for $36.12 is way too overpriced. Red circle, definitely don't buy this. Just kidding. Retro is actually a blue circle, must-have fountain. Super wide, tall, and loud crackle for a minute straight. Some of the biggest and loudest I've ever seen. This thing outperforms most fountains that are double the price. They absolutely killed it with this one, so definitely get yourself 1 or 3 or 6 before they sell out. Optical Illusion for $37.42 is a fountain nobody ever really talks about, and I guess that's sort of for a good reason, because it is somewhat forgettable. It does actually have pretty decent crackle and a long duration, so it's not half bad, but it's not half great either. Yellow Circle fountain, pretty much the definition of mid. If it was $5 to $10 cheaper, I might pick it up. On the other hand, the definition of garbage is Crazy Colors. For $43.45, it's a red circle. Why would you ever buy this one when retro is $7 cheaper? We've got Kingfish, a low noise nitrocellulose fountain for $43.69. Very nice color, but very overpriced. Yellow Circle because of the price. I'd give it green if it was like $10 cheaper. Next up is our first 500 gram fountain, Rover Ripper for $46.89. Very long lasting with lots of whistles, pretty much a finale version of the Livewire fountain for about double the price. If only it had some stronger crackle at the end to make it feel like a true finale, it would be really nice. The crackle just leaves something to be desired. $47 for a 500 gram fountain in California is very rare and a very good price, but this one is pretty mediocre, so it's a Yellow Circle. Let's Do This for $48.88 is a red circle. They dropped the price a little bit, but they definitely need to drop it even more. Nothing special about this one at all. The fact it's being sold at Freedom this year, but Jungle Flower isn't, is honestly a war crime. Let's Do This is taking up valuable space when there's other awesome fountains Freedom could carry. Let's not do this. Another waste of space and a waste of cardboard is Tantrum. Humongous in size, but tiny in performance. It's basically Freedom's version of the Captain Sucky fountain. It's terrible, it's a red circle, and why would you ever buy this when you could buy Majestic Mama, a 500 gram fountain for $57.57. This is an absolute blue circle must-have fountain. It's basically retro, but if it lasted 2 times as long. One of my highest recommended finales out there, one of the most powerful fountains we've ever seen in California. Absolutely have to pick this one up. But you absolutely do not have to pick up Psychedelic for $59.74. It's a red circle. I already don't really think the Delirium fountain is worth the hype, and this is basically a watered down version of it without the whistles. Fan fountains are usually super awesome, but this one is super tame, not impressive at all. Please phase it out. Pyrotastic for $63.40 is very similar to Rover Ripper, but lasts a little bit longer and has slightly better crackle at the end. It's a Yellow Circle, not the worst fountain, but certainly not the best. Colorama for $72.97 is another 500 gram fountain. It's somewhat underrated, but also overpriced. Very nice nitrocellulose at the beginning. I wish I could recommend it, but for $73, it's a Yellow Circle. Just too pricey. I'd like to see the price drop $10 to $15, and I might give it a green. Similar story with Turn Up the Heat for $78.57. It's a nice fountain, but it's too expensive. Especially when you can get the Centennial XL from TNT this year for $49.99, which is a very similar fountain, if not a little bit better. Gonna give Turn Up the Heat a Yellow Circle, pretty mid. Continuing the trend is Justice for $92.55, another Yellow Circle. It's a rewrap of the Allegiance fountain for about $30 cheaper. Performance-wise, this is an awesome fountain. Long duration, great effects, and a big angled crackle finale. But it's $93. I would say, ignoring the prices, Majestic Mama is better performance-wise than Justice, and then when you factor in the price, it's about half the cost. So honestly, if you have this much money to spend on a finale, skip on Justice and just get 2 Majestic Mamas, spread them out 5 to 10 feet from each other, and light them at the same time. It'll be freaking awesome. And saving the worst for last, Great White is a rewrap of Candy Paint for $94.94. It sucks, super boring compared to the other 500 grammers like Majestic Mama or Justice, and it's the most expensive fountain Freedom sells. It's definitely a red circle. I feel bad for any poor souls that bought this. So that concludes my full review and ranking of Freedom Fireworks this year. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun making this video. You can check out my California Fireworks playlist on the screen to see my full reviews of TNT and Phantom Fireworks. Thank you guys for watching. Have a great 4th of July season, and I'll see you in the next one.